Well, we have our answer. We know the strongest domain expansion in Jujutsu Kaisen without a doubt. And I'm here today to talk to you guys about it. This is no game. This is very serious because Gojo and Sukuna, their fight is on the line. If you haven't already, make sure you leave a like on the video. It'd be much appreciated. We're not going to waste no time today. Subscribe if you're new and let's get into the video and see exactly what led to the point to see the strongest domain expansion revealed. To begin, it seems like we are in a position where Gojo's Limitless allows him to be completely untouchable. The Sukuna is using his domain amplification constantly to be able to neutralize the curse technique of Gojo. Domain amplification is something that Gojo is used as a weakness to him. Same thing like against the disaster curses, it seems that's the way to be him. The purpose of the domain amplification against Gojo is to make sure that the Limitless could not be used as effectively. Even Yuto Kosu says this. Hakuri is confused. How does it seem Gojo's domain is neutralized by a domain amplification? Kusakabe describes it as it's a more refined version of a simple domain. So by covering yourself in a domain without actually using your curse technique, you allow your opponent's technique to flow into that space, neutralizing it. So if you remember, Gojo at the beginning said that Infinity can always lose to a domain expansion, but now in this case, domain expansion is not being used, but a domain covering yourself, not allowing yourself to use the curse technique, is basically sacrificing that, using it to be able to counter your curse technique because it will reach eventually. There is a high chance of it missing, but it can hit you. And that's actually what we saw when Gojo was punched by Sukuna, and then Sukuna was able to go through the Limitless at one moment, surprising everybody. Now, Higuruma actually makes an appearance saying, I can get the gist of it. He kind of understands it. Hana, Angel, pretty much understood as well that when it comes to the technique of domain amplification, its drawback is that you can't use your innate technique at the same time. Even Sukuna is not an exception to the rule. So in other words, if Sukuna has some way to deal damage on the Limitless without domain amplification, Gojo will lose. That is a big statement. Gojo would actually lose due to the fact that Sukuna will be able to hurt him as much as he wants, and he has no defense defending him. He'll be able to obliterate him in this case, completely neutralizing the Infinity. So Miwa brings a very good point, a very excellent point. Now, why don't you use the domain expansion? Now, at the beginning of the video, I said we find out who is the strongest domain expansion user. We'll get to that very soon. But it's true. If Sukuna wants to be able to bypass Infinity, why not use domain expansion? So then after it's finished, you'll be able to attack Gojo how you would like. Due to the fact the curse technique will be unstable and he will not be able to have Infinity for that couple moments. Karara makes a cameo as well, and she says, yeah, it's easy to say that, but depending on the outcome, it might not be a clash and in a draw, it could be Sukuna winning or Gojo winning. And yeah, it's true. Why isn't he doing a domain expansion if he can get that outcome just to win? Yuji jumps in and says that the Infinity can also be countered because Satoru Gojo told him. So all in all, it seems like it's smart to use a domain expansion to actually fight Gojo. Everybody seems to be making a little bit of a cameo today. Yu also jumps in saying, could it be that Sukuna thinks he can't beat Gojo in a domain battle? And Shoko also adding on that if this was the case, Gojo would have already been used it. This guy is a prick, long story short, so he would have done it for sure. And Choso actually gives the logical answer. The logical answer of this is the fact that none of them knows what's going to happen after doing a domain expansion, because Sukuna has a barrierless domain expansion, whereas Gojo has a barrier for his domain expansion. So this actually shocks everybody. Huh? Bullshit. I can't believe that. That's insane. That's absurd, right? Is it that crazy? Well, she doesn't understand. Miwa, toss me the water. That's what Kusakabe says. Okay, what are you doing? Huh? Didn't you ask me to toss it to you? I said give me the water, not the bottle. But instead of following the concept that Kusakabe wanted, she splashed water in his face, which low-key, she isn't wrong, but you understand what Kusakabe is trying to say. So the analogy he was trying to go with was, with no container, can water accumulate? Can you paint on empty air without a canvas? With no stem, roots, or leaves, can a flower bloom from a seed? It's like using software without having any hardware. At any rate, it's completely impossible. All these things can be done only theoretically. Maki tried to compare it to Megami, but Kusakabe even said no way is that even comparable. The reason it's not is because Megami needed entire buildings and places to be able to perform the domain expansion in the first place, whereas what Sukuna's doing is off nothing. And you know what's funny? Not only can he do it, Kenjaku in the back can also do it. Choso explaining to them how he was able to do it, and then the fact that Yuki suffered to it completely. The simple domain was pretty much useless in the blink of an eye against that perfect, almost perfect domain before Tengen actually interrupted and stopped it. It wouldn't have been a true domain battle just purely off the fact that they were in Tengen's domain when they were fighting. But now Sukuna Gojo are fighting out in the open. So surely this is going to be unpredictable and no one will know the outcome at all. Yuki might have even had a chance to win if she used her domain expansion. But what exactly would clash? Nobody knows. Nobody understands how the short hit effect will even work. And given that the short hit effect is imbued within the barrier itself, it can only clash with another barrier. Inumaki, Ino, and Kashimo also make their cameos. It seems like there's a bunch of cameos in this chapter and I actually like it. Seeing everyone again and seeing what they have to say. Someone was pretty much saying that you guys are just talking about domains as if it's a given. It takes a lot of curse energy, so wouldn't they avoid it? But you have to be understanding. Gojo can use it multiple times a day, because he basically uses little to curse energy. Ino, who is also very intelligent, understands is because he's very efficient. His curse energy consumption ends up being less. And they even think, couldn't he just spam that over and over and over again? It could be a different story. But hey, Kashimo, he's thinking of something completely different. Sukuna, he's unreal. The fact that he's able to even use the technique activation on and off so easily, and also being able to use your curse technique. Even he says if Gojo did not have the 6 eyes, Sukuna would be winning in terms of efficiency in utilizing curse energy. So in terms of utilization, it seems Gojo is consuming much more than Sukuna, but because of his 6 eyes, he's able to use less in comparison to the eye, to the naked eye, and what people are actually seeing. These parts are very important to see who has the strongest domain expansion. You are almost there, guys. Ironically enough, what's more is Sukuna's cursed energy is double Yuto's cursed energy. Can you believe that? If you guys remember, Yuto Kosu said he has more overall curse energy than Gojo. But Gojo is able to use minimal amount due to the 6 eyes, but he had more than Gojo. So for Yuto to say he has double, Sukuna is a flipping beast, man. He's a flipping beast. Now I should put into perspective, when we saw in Sunday Colony, even including Rika, Sukuna has double there. And all in all, the overall consensus between the team was that they do not know what's going to happen, and I think even they, Sukuna and Gojo, wouldn't know what would happen. And then we get our answer. Domain expansion. Sukuna versus Gojo, the strongest Jujutsu sorcerers to ever live. And we find out they are evenly matched. They form a pair within Gojo's barrier, and the 2 short hit guarantees overlap each other, cancel each other out, because they have different types of domain expansions. A battle with both sides expanding the domains. Should either one sustain immense damage causing the collapse of their domain, the other short hit effect will immediately strike. And although they are evenly matched, Sukuna's domain expansion is so different, so impactful, and so much stronger. And guys, yes, Sukuna's is so much stronger. Even though they are evenly matched from the looks of it within the barrier, he's able to extend his domain expansion past the barrier, causing an attack on the outside of the barrier, which we know is the weakest part of the barrier, hence why Yuji before was able to break into Mahito's domain expansion, because the weak side of it is the outside. Gojo barrier completely collapses, and then you see Sukuna looking down at Gojo, and he gets cut by the strongest Jujutsu barrier to ever exist. So just to make sure that is clear, Kenjaku using his domain expansion, even though he has a similar one to Sukuna, will not work on Gojo. It says in the inside they have a little bit of a tug of war, but then Sukuna is able to expand it. So if Kenjaku was on the other foot, number one, he would think that he would be able to beat Gojo, number one. And then number two, the tug of war would end because Sukuna will absolutely destroy Kenjaku before he's even to extend his range if he wanted to and destroy from the outside. Gojo's domain expansion is still the second strongest domain expansion that we know of, because no one has beaten him, let's be honest. And Sukuna's one was so strong that it was able to withstand the clash and then expand and destroy the domain expansion from the outside. That is the strongest Jujutsu Kaisen domain expansion that we have seen, and maybe, there's a big maybe, we will ever see. Thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate every time you guys come through to the videos and watch them. It makes my day. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new, check the video that is on the screen. I promise you it's a banger. And yeah, as I say to the new and old people that come and visit my channel, Jana.